Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about calculating a discount. I'm going to warn you, there's a thunderstorm outside, so if you hear thunder, don't worry, I'm okay. What is a discount? A discount is an amount subtracted, that means taken away from the original price of an item to determine the selling price. The selling price is what you will pay. A discount is usually represented by a percentage. And like I've told you before, sometimes I just use that to represent percentage. So a discount is the amount that is subtracted when you buy something on sale. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the 4 methods we have for calculating this. First, method number 1 is to model. So let's say a jacket cost $100. During a sale, the store offers a 20% discount. How much will customers save during the sale? Well, the way they figured out what this model would look like is they took $100, okay, or 100% rather, and they divided it by 20% and figured out there are 5 20% inside of 100%. So we know that that means that 20% is one of these rectangles, okay? So they want to know how much will customers save during the sale. Well, the way you figure that out is this. You say, okay, I've got $100. That's how much it costs. And I have 5 sections in my model. So that means each model is worth $20. So that means that your sale amount, how much you're going to save, is 1 block or $20. Now it goes on to say, what is the sale price of the jacket? Well, you start with the whole price, which is $100, and a sale takes away from that price. You don't ever want to add a discount because then you're paying more instead of less, and paying less is the whole purpose of a discount. So we're going to subtract that $20, which is 20%, and we're going to end up with a price, a sales price of $80. Okay, I'm sorry that was a little messy. Now, let me go back up here to the model. I told you that 1 block was $20, and we figured that out by doing $100 of the coat divided by the 5 sections that we found earlier. Okay, but the interesting part about this is, do you see this blank part here? That blank section, those 4, if you add them together, 20, 40, 60, 80. The blank part of the graph, okay, equals the sale price. So that's another way to check to make sure that your sale price down here, $80, is the correct amount. All right, let's go ahead and try method number 2, which is estimating. All right, a new laptop is priced at $1,195. During a back-to-school sale, the laptop is marked down by 9%. All right, so it asks us to estimate how much money we are going to save by purchasing this laptop on sale. So I'm going to come back down here because we're doing some estimating, which means we just want to be close. Well, look at this price here. There are 2 ways that we can estimate that price, okay? First of all, we could estimate it to the nearest 100, which means that would be 1,200. Or if we wanted to estimate to the nearest thousand, we would estimate 1195 to 1,000. So that's two different options there that we're going to look at. Now, to be marked down by 9%, you're going to call that 10% because that's what it's closest to. So we're going to estimate 10%. So how do we estimate our savings? Well, we could use Desmos. I think that's what I would do. And I would start by saying 10% of, and let's go with the 1,200 first. 1,200 equals, so let's come over here and do 10% of 1,200, and that gives us a discount of $120. Or we could do 10% of 1,000. And let's see what that gives us. So let's go to the next line. And just so we can see, 10% of 1,000. Well, that's a $100 discount. It's slightly less. Maybe it's slightly less accurate because we rounded to the thousandths place instead of the hundredths place. Okay? So now we're going to estimate the sale price of the laptop. Well, let's do the first one here. We started with our estimate of 1,200, and we're going to subtract the discount that we calculated, which was 120. And if you put that in your calculator, okay, let's go here and do that, all right? If we start with our price, of course, our estimated price, and it's a discount, so we're going to subtract that answer. Our sale price would be $1,080. This is a dollar sign, which is a little bit rough there. Now, if we look at our 10% estimate, we're going to say that was the estimated price was 1,000. And we're going to subtract our estimated discount, which was 100. And let's see what that gives us. Start with the cost, the estimated cost in this case, minus that answer. And that gives us an estimated cost of $900. As you can see, those estimates are a little bit, they are not the same, right? So one says 1080 is going to be the cost, and the other one says 900 is going to be at the cost. So that's about $180 worth of difference. So again, it just depends on how accurate you want to be. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and clear this, and I'm going to sneak ahead to the next method and say, all right, let's say that our cost is $11.95, but we want a discount by 9%. So let's put in 9% of $11.95. Now I'm doing the actual here, not the estimate anymore, but I want to show you which one would actually be closer to the real amount if you weren't estimating. So we're going to subtract our answer, and that gives us $1,087.45. So we did learn that the more specific the number that we round to, like for example, we rounded to the hundredths place here, okay, we rounded to the hundredths place, it's going to be more specific than rounding to the 1,000ths place. Okay, so just consider that when you're doing it. All right, let's go ahead to our next model. The next model is basically something I've already shown you, so I kind of cheated a little bit. Let me go ahead and look at that. Let me get my cursor back where it belongs. There you go. So it says a new car costs $36,500. Okay. During the end of year sale, the price is discounted by 15%. What is the amount of the discount? Well, we're going to use Desmos for this. We're going to do 15% of $36,500. So the $5,495 is the amount of the discount. So let me write that right here. We're almost through with that video, so hopefully we can keep quiet for just a little bit longer. Then we're going to do 36,500, which is the cost, and subtract that discount, which means the sale price would be $31,025 for that car. Okay? There's also a way to do this in one step. All right? If you know, for example, that 36,500 is 100% of the cost, and they're going to discount it by 15%, that means that you're only going to pay for 85% of it. I'm sorry, guys, that's the kitchen water running. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next line, and I'm going to say, what is 85% of 31,025? Well, oh, excuse me, that wasn't the sale price. I did that wrong. I'm starting to panic now because I want to get this done. 36,500, and again, it gives you a sale price of 31,025. So you could also do 85% of 36,500, and you would also get the sale price of 31,025. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead to method number 4. All right, so this is method number 4, decimals. A grocery store sells a box of organic cereal for $5.50. By enrolling in the store loyalty program, customers receive a 10% discount. How much is taken off the price of the cereal with the discount? Well, the first thing you would have to do is change that percent to a decimal. So if you have 10%, to change it to a decimal, you divide by 100. So that means that you're going to have 0.10, and you're going to multiply that by the cost of the cereal. So let's come over here, and we're just going to multiply it right here. So we're going to do times $5.50, which means your discount would be 55 cents. Okay? So what you do there is know that you're going to take 55 cents off the price of the cereal. But let me write an extra note right down here to convert percent to decimal. I'm going to abbreviate. Well, no, I better not. Okay. You divide by 100. Just like you know, to convert any number in any form to a percent, you multiply by 100. To convert it to a decimal, you divide by 100. Okay, so now we know the discount, and we want the price of the cereal after the discount. So we know that the cereal started off to be $5.50. But because we get 10% off, we can subtract 55 cents, which I'll put right over here for you. So 5.50 minus 0.55 gives you $4.95. So that will be the price that you pay after the discount. Or, just like before, you can do it in one step. So if the $5.50 is 100% of the price, and you're getting a 10% discount, let's subtract that 10%. That means 90%, okay, is what you have to pay. But how do I change 90% to a decimal? You divide it by 100. So then you have 0.90 or 0.90. I guess I'm just going to put 0.9. So let me see if I can get that erased. I probably cannot, so let me just leave it there. 0.9 times the price, which is 5.50, equals, and let's go ahead and put that in there, times 5.50 equals $4.95. So that's the quicker way, I think, to use decimals to get the price. You just have to remember, first you take your 100% minus your 10%, convert that to a decimal by dividing by 100, and then multiply by the original price. Okay? You've done a fantastic job. Thanks so much.